Hi everyone. It's a great day. We're here in Lakes Entrance. It's beautiful sunny weather, and we're standing at the front of the Lakes Entrance wastewater treatment plant. I'm joined by David Radford, Mark McNeil, and we're going to meet Brendan Richards and Brant White, and they're going to take us around and show us some important projects that they're doing here. Before we go in, I just want to explain why we particularly come to Lakes Entrance and to the wastewater plant today. Last financial year, we met our EPA licence compliance 100% at all of our treatment plants, with one exception, and that was with the exception of odour at this plant. Now, before I talk about that, I just want to acknowledge it's a great effort to get 100% compliance everywhere else. We've had storms, we've had abnormally high levels of rain, and of course we've had COVID. So I've done a terrific job. Here at the Lakes Entrance wastewater plant, we did not meet our licence conformance because of odours. And I'll just explain what that means. Under our EPA licences at any plant, we are not allowed to have odours detectable by anyone at any time beyond the boundary of our plant. Now that's pretty challenging for a wastewater plant because it's natural that you'll get some odours from time to time. Where I'm standing, I'm at the front gate. 30 metres right in front of me, there's a public golf course and there are people walking up and down right now. 100 metres down that road, there are houses. On the hills behind me, there are other houses. So the plant, once upon a time, would have been reasonably remote from town, and slowly but surely the town's grown outwards and people have decided to take advantage of the views by building up on the hill. So in the last year or so, we have had a few odours, and so this is a real priority for us to get on top of this and fix that up. And we'll be going inside in a minute to meet Brendan and Brant, and they're going to talk to us about what we've been doing. Before we go in though, we're just going to take a pause for safety, and I'm going to hand over to Mark McNeil, and he's going to talk a little bit about our safety leadership in the field program and the sort of things we can all do to keep safety at the front of our mind all the time. Okay? I'll hand over to Mark.
Thanks for that, Steve. So as Steve just said, we're going to talk a little bit about safety in the field. We actually have an initiative at the executive level which we call Learnings in the Field, and that's aimed at getting out there, in about the workforce and making sure we understand the hazards and the risks which people actually identify and are exposed to in everyday working life. So we're going to actually have a look in a minute at the wastewater treatment plant itself and some of the initiatives, but it's very important that we do get out there as a collective, have the conversations, really understand what are the risks to the business, what obstacles are in the way, and what we can actually do to help each other out. So let's go have a talk to Brant and have a look at the wastewater treatment plant. So we've wandered up the road a bit to meet Brant, who's our Coordinator of Operations Engineering, and Brendan, our Coordinator of Wastewater Treatment, to talk us through some of the initiatives we've been doing here at the wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you, Mark. So some of the issues we're having down here at the Lakes Entrance wastewater treatment plant, we've got the sludge lagoon, which we've been having odour issues from. It's been gassing off a bit. It's gone anaerobic. It's an aerobic sludge lagoon, so what we're trying to do here is put some dissolved oxygen into the sludge lagoon, and that will basically remediate the issues that we're having with that lagoon. Additional projects we've been working on to rectify some of these issues we're having on site. Generally these issues are all around H2S generation and odour. We've got projects at the inlet works at the top of the hill there. Basically what we're doing there is putting in a new inlet screen. We're covering the primary SED tanks and we're looking at expanding the existing odour control unit at the top of the hill. On top of that, we've come across several safety issues. These include issues such as working in confined spaces, working over water, and to rectify those issues, we've purchased new gas detectors, we've got signage on place, we've got safety rails in place. We've also purchased a new embankment aerator which will remediate any operational risks with working on a boat to derag these aerators. I'll pass you over to Brendan and he can tell you a bit more about those operational issues that we've been having.
Right, thank you, Brant. Some of the issues we have here around H2S, we've got quite a lot coming into the inlet. So recently there's been a lot of work in identifying the hazards and the best way to approach the works undertaken here safely. there's a lot of good work. What we're doing here at the moment to get this H2S under control will make things a lot safer for everybody here. With the sludge lagoon, it's been quite challenging for our team, having to derag aerators almost daily, which has got issues around safety around water, and also you've got your biohazards and stuff like that. So we've just recently installed a large 15 kilowatt aerator, surface aerator, which is already in the last week. It has minimised the need for us to have to derag aerators. It's also seeing a beneficial improvement on the lagoon already with the condition of it. So, really excited with the works that are happening here and the plans in the future to address this issue. It is a nice place to work down here. It has got its challenges, and so really happy with how things are progressing and look forward to what's to come.
That was really good, guys. Obviously, there's a lot of work going on out here, not only with the day-to-day operations of actually running this, but also all the capital works and the upgrades we're doing head of the plant. There's a new flow meter I can see actually going in there. We're tendering at the moment for a new inlet screen. You've done this amazing job of actually getting the dissolved oxygen up and running with this new aerator and some of the chemical dosing you've been doing. Are there any specific lessons learned you could take away from this to actually impart on other people?
Yeah, I think some of the key issues key things we've learned from the issues we're having is managing all these upgrades while operating the plant and maintaining key operations and treatment, especially with the sludge lagoon levels approaching critical levels for treatment and needing to be desludged. We have an on-flow effect, as Brendan will tell you more about, for systems down the line. Other issues the main issue we've been having is the H2S generation, and we've been identifying those issues through the use of these odour loggers. And lessons learned from those is essentially it's key to make sure you ventilate your spaces when you're opening your manholes and actually installing those odour loggers, because some of the readings we're getting at the moment are potentially quite high.
Yeah.
So that's pretty key, and Brendan will tell you more about those.
Yeah, so some of the lessons learned for me, operationally new to the role, is that with the knock-on effect and what we're doing day to day, the problems we're having here with the sludge lagoon will eventually make its way to the final lagoon and may risk our compliance. So there's some really good learnings there for me, and the best way to manage the team, the operations, and also with the projects, and working in really closely with project team. Management as well.
Yeah, I believe you've also been working with Judd and the SheQ team about the background levels of hydrogen sulphide and potential risks as you go about your day-to-day duties. And I see a couple of odour loggers and a clip-on one there. How's that actually going?
Yeah, really good, Mark. So we've got quite a comprehensive odour logging program here, and Brand's been working pretty closely with us here. So we have some of these units we have them before it goes into the odour unit. To see sort of what kind of levels we're getting. So we're getting quite high concentrated levels, which tells us that the fan's working and it's drawing the gas in. But the important thing is when we have an odour logger on the end of the odour unit, and it's registering in parts per billion, whereas what's going in is sort of upwards of 400 parts per million.
Right, okay.
The boundary, we have one on the boundary, which tells us what's leaving the facility. And that probably the highest we might have got there is 30 parts per billion, which is quite low. So, but it is important to capture the data and see where we can make improvements.
Absolutely, and it is a very unique facility, given the fact that we are so close to development. Obviously, the wastewater treatment plant was built first, development came second, but we might actually have a look in the sky and see what we can see.
Thanks everybody, that's been a fantastic trip around the plant, having a look at all the issues and getting updated on everything. Really brilliant. So that's a wrap. Thanks David, thanks Brendan, thanks Mark, and thanks Brand.
And now Steve's going to show us a coffee.
Yay! Hi everybody again. We've stopped on our way out of town, give you a bit of a bonus shot, and I'm standing in front of the Kalimna tank, which is one of the landmark features of Lakes Entrance when you're driving in and out of town. That's our tank. And I'm here because it's a good news story. And the good news is when you come back here in a year's time, that tank will be gone. It's actually a redundant asset. It's no longer in service. And I'm sure the neighbours will be pretty pleased when it's gone. The tank was built about 30 years ago at a time when it was probably well above the houses of Lakes Entrance to provide adequate water pressure. And as time's gone on, houses have come out of town, built right up to the edge of the tank, as you can see there. Now they're right under the tank. The tank can no longer provide adequate pressure to the houses around it. So about 5 or 6 years ago, we actually had to boost the pressure by pumping. And by doing that, it meant the tank actually has no purpose anymore. The tank's been empty for over 5 years. So it's a redundant asset and it's going. So see you later.